Entering year 5 at USC, it feels like Lincoln Riley is, I wouldn't say running out of time. Characterizing where he's at with the Trojans is interesting because I feel like the pressure is building and they haven't won at the level that he would expect to have won since he has been the USC head coach. I mean, they had the 11 and 3 season in 2022, but they've been stuck between 7 and 9 wins the last 3 years. Expectations, as they should be, are through the roof. I mean, he's had Caleb Williams, obviously, who's balling with the Chicago Bears after being the number 1 overall pick. Now he's got a loaded roster, it feels like, with experience all over the place. And it kind of feels like one of those now or never type years for a guy who's proven he can win at Oklahoma. Now he's in the Big Ten at USC. And I think this is the year where if USC is going to become an elite program under Riley, it feels like this is kind of the year to do it. So we're talking about the Trojans today on the You Think You Know Sports podcast. Still a fairly new podcast if you found us. Obviously you did. We appreciate it. Hope you'll listen to some of the other ones. We're getting through all of the teams in college football, or at least that's our goal. We're going to get through as many of them as we can this offseason. Working on the Big Ten and ABC order. We're obviously toward the end of it. We've also done the ACC and the American. This all started with a TikTok page with over 10,000 followers. We're working on growing on other social medias now. You can find us at You Think You Know Sports. You can also find us at youthinkyouKnowsports.com. Let's get back to the Trojans. Look, this team has got more returning starters than any team in the country. It doesn't matter how you slice it. It doesn't matter what conference you're looking at. Nobody has more returning starters than the USC Trojans in college football in 2026. Now, does that mean the same thing it did 10 years ago? Absolutely not. Because of transfer portal, you can be a better team very quickly by bringing in great players from another program in the offseason. But USC has been able to retain its players. And that is why this is the kind of year where they've got to take the next step. Lincoln Riley's 35-18 at USC, 90-28 in his career, obviously going back to his Oklahoma days. USC averaged 35.8 points per game last year, number 12 in the country. 465 yards per game, number 6 in the country. They were 50-50 on runs and passes last year. Very balanced. I mean, you can't get more balanced than that. We'll get to the defensive numbers in a minute, but those offensive numbers are incredible, and they bring back the majority of that offense. 9 guys are back on offense for the Trojans, including quarterback Jaden Maiva. Maiva is 12-5 as a starter at USC, 65% completion percentage, 24 touchdowns, 10 picks last year. But he threw a pick in 8 of his last 10 games. And in the last 10 games of a season where they played 13, he had 15 touchdowns and 10 picks in those last 10. He had the 9th most attempts in the country under pressure, 41.9%. So USC has got to protect him better. He also had the most deep ball completions in the country, 39. Nobody threw more deep balls that were actually caught than Jaden Maiva, 39. Deep balls, according to PFF, 20-plus air yards, meaning you couldn't throw a short pass and then the receiver run for 20 yards. He had to actually travel 20 yards in the air. He had the 10th best overall completion percentage on deep balls. So while he completed the most with 39, he was also completing a very high percentage. So this is a guy who could throw the deep ball and throw it well. He's got guys around him too. I mean, he really does. I mean, Wayman Jordan is back at running back. King Miller is back at running back. Those were the 2 leading rushers on the team last year. Miller had 8 touchdowns, 972 yards. Jordan had 576 yards, 5 touchdowns. They're both back. The receiving core, Tanook Hines is back. 34 catches last year. Obviously, losing Mekhi Lemon to the NFL is huge. He went to the Eagles in the first round. But Mark Bowman, former 5-star, is maybe the top newcomer for this USC offense. The entire offensive line returns. I mean, everybody. It is hard to imagine waking up in college football in 2026 with a premier program, a place where people want to play football. USC, I think, is undoubtedly one of those places. And to have this many starters back, 9 of your 11 back on offense, is pretty amazing. Defensively, the news is almost just as good. So, flashing back for a second, they allowed 23 points per game last year. That's number 43 in the country. 350 yards per game, number 42 in the country. They bring back 6 players on defense. That constitutes the 15, which is the most returning starters in the country. This is a defense that, look, while they have 6 starters back, they got to get better on that side of the football, right? I mean, they gave up 42 to Oregon. They gave up 34 to Notre Dame. They gave up a lot of points to Illinois. So, obviously, they have got to get better on that side of the ball. But when you have this many starters back, it gives you a chance to do that. I mean, it absolutely gives you a chance to make a big leap defensively. And I think USC is going to make a leap defensively. I really do, based on the number of players that they have coming back. But for instance, like Phil Steele I love his magazine. Not a single USC player is on the first team defense or the first team offense, right? So for the Big Ten, preseason Big Ten. Now there are players who are on the second team Big Ten for USC. USC is going to have to find those playmakers on defense. They got to find those wide receivers on offense if they're going to make the jump that many believe that they will into the top 3 or 4 of the Big Ten this year. The schedule itself is again, it's a Big Ten schedule, right? There's nowhere to hide. But the first 4 games kind of give you a place to get comfortable, right? You play San Jose State, Fresno State, and Louisiana all at home. All 3 of those teams are coming to LA to play the Trojans. Then you play at Rutgers on September 19th, okay? So going to New Jersey, that's about as far as you can go. We've already broke down the Scarlet Knights on here. USC's got a better roster. That doesn't always mean anything in college football. Rutgers has got a ton of home games against really elite teams this year, USC being one of them. Never know, right? But you should win that one if you're USC. Then things all of a sudden, get pretty tough. You have those measuring stick games against Oregon September 26th, against Washington October 3rd, that I think we'll learn a ton about this team. They go to Penn State October 10th. So the first 6-7 games, 7 in a row without a bye week. Then you have your bye week before you go to Wisconsin. You host Ohio State on Halloween. I mean, I don't know what USC's record will be then, but if they get into that game with 2 losses or less, they've got Ohio State and Indiana back-to-back after that with a bye week in between. You have to wonder, are they in the playoff discussion? Can they get there with 1 or 2 losses and play those 2 teams as a top 10 program? Ohio State coming to LA, then going to the defending national champions in Indiana on November 14th. Maryland, November 21st comes to LA, and then they play at UCLA on November the 28th. USC has lost its last 3 games before bye weeks over the last few years. Another couple of interesting things. They have not been to Indiana since 1981, which is amazing. They've never hosted Maryland. There's a lot of firsts as this new look Big Ten comes through. Going 2,752 miles from LA to New Jersey, I believe may be the longest road trip in the country for any team. So USC having to deal with that will also be very interesting this year. So guys, I'm very interested in this USC team. I believe the schedule sets up well for them to get on a good run. Get 4-0, see what you can do with Oregon. Washington, both of those teams coming to you. Can you get through that first 7-game stretch 6-1 before you have to play at Wisconsin, Ohio State, and at Indiana in 3 consecutive games? I think that is the question for Lincoln Riley and this USC team. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments on all my social medias. I've put videos up on USC. I would love to hear what your thoughts are on the Trojans and whether this is going to be a team that can compete toward the top of the Big Ten this year, or whether they're going to be another 8 or 9 win team in the Big Ten this year. So tell me what you think. Hope that you'll hit the subscription button so you can hear more of the podcast. It's completely free. Hope you'll go join YouThinkYouKnowSports.com. Hope that you'll hit the follow button on all my social media as we continue to go through the Big Ten. Next up, we have got Washington and Wisconsin as we finish out all the podcasts on the Big Ten. I appreciate you listening. This has been the You Think You Know Sports podcast.